Welcome to the Bulletin. And our first story, the women's wing of the National Democratic Congress says they will risk everything to see their flag bearer declared president-elect. According to them, last week's polls were rigged in the favor of the incumbent New Patriotic Party, NPP. They say no intimidation from security service will make them rescind their decision. Women's organizer Hannah Bissio was among the demonstrators as they took to the streets of Kumasi. We will go back to Kumasi, where Nana Aljima has been following this story very closely. But let's move to Sehui also, where a similar protest is taking place with the NDC protesters calling for a retrieval of a missing ballot box. According to a former Western Regional Minister, Paul Evans-Edu, who is leading the protest, the AEC could not have declared the result of the constituency without ascertaining the content of that particular ballot box. Now, the NDC contends that should the ballot box be found and votes counted, they would win the parliamentary election in that constituency. Here's Paul Evans-Edu.
It's a protest march towards the commission. During the voting period, there was a particular ballot box which got missing. It's a parliamentary ballot box which contained voted or printed ballot papers and many other items. Unfortunately, for our party, the box got missing at the electoral commission. At the time that they were bringing the box out, somebody sniped, whether by accident or nobody knows. But the electoral commission was aware, the police and the military, everybody was aware. There was no way that we could say that the box will get missing without any authorization. We realize that it was an intentional act that the commission did with the police and the military. So we are saying that not until that box has been found, nobody will see peace here. Because we cannot just go and declare results for someone without even collecting some facts. If it doesn't yield any results, then we have established the fact that we effect from now, any government that is in power can declare results of parliamentary presidency without coalition. That's what we want to establish. We can declare results without coalition. That's what we want to establish. If the EC is not able to reverse its decision and want to maintain that one, then what we are saying that in future, we can also declare results.
Now, some supporters of the NDC who participated in the protest have been speaking to JoyNews.
We're going to do it till. I hope you get me. They know what we want, and then we're going to seek for that. We are going to seek for it, and then they know what, if they give to us, we're going to get down coolly and then settle matters. They should give us our victory. That's all we should give them for. That's it.
We need the missing ballot.
The missing ballot is going to be found today. I don't know whether we know if with the EC, we gave it to an EC official and then a police officer, an armed police officer. So how come it can be found? We need it.
The parliamentary election, and this we won the election. But here is the case: from Asarisu to Sehui here, no, it's not a small place, but the missing ballot box from Asarisu up to EC office, police officers are there, military officers are there. So how come the ballot box is missing? So we need a missing ballot box, or there will be no peace at Sehui also.
Because the Mama, Dr. Coffee, Yapon Hokran and the family. Here at the pro, Yapero on what? It's
Now, the Ghana Police Service is meanwhile advising the public against the breaking of the Public Order Act. The service is calling for strict adherence and getting police notified before embarking on any form of demonstration. Here's Sheila Kese Abaye Bachman, the Public Affairs Director of the Ghana Police Service.
The police administration has noticed with concern the disregard for the Public Order Act when people want to go on procession or demonstration or such special events. And so we are calling on organizers and participants of demonstrations and such special events to give due regard to the Public Order Act, which requires that they give notice to police at least 5 days before holding the event. And we want to remind them that failure to do so amounts to an offense which can lead to various penalties, including imprisonment. Also, if any crimes are committed in the course of such unlawful demonstrations, all participants are jointly responsible for the crimes. But as we remind them, we also want to assure the public that measures have been put in place to contain such unlawful demonstrations. We have had to close some roads and do diversions and impress on some facilities to close for the safety of human lives and properties. We regret such actions, but we ask the public to bear with us because all these measures are for the protection of lives and property and for our general safety.
Now, the government must show leadership by going after perpetrators of violence in the just-ended elections. This is according to the Executive Director of the West African Network for Peace Building, WANEP, who is giving assurance. He says this will give assurance to feuding parties, Now, in a post-election analysis on the AM show with Mama V. Owusu Abuaje, Dr. Eze said government credibility hinges on its ability to decisively deal with the people involved. He's also asking aggrieved politicians to seek redress at the court to stem the brewing tension.
It is extremely important. It also adds or removes credibility in the administration. It is important to give, because it gives confidence to the electorate and the citizens that impunity cannot be allowed to thrive, and that if you kill under any guise and without due process, then you have to answer for it. Whether it is the security agents or citizens killing one another, I think it's important to find the cure and also find redress in a court of law and bring those who are the perpetrators to book, and also reassure not just the victim's family, but also other citizens that we don't live in Banana Republic where you can do anything and get away with it. It is very important.
There are many calling on the NDC to seek redress in court. But indeed, if you speak to the NDC, they would also tell you that the protests, the many ways that they are also seeking to express their disappointment with the results of the 2020 elections are also legitimate. I mean, it's their legal rights. You can protest. You can go in a march like they've been doing. And so the court is not the only place where they can absolutely resolve their issues. As a security person, and as you've been analyzing a lot of security matters, particularly this one linked with elections directly, what do you make of the fact that what they're doing is also legitimately right?
I think it's important to, first of all, acknowledge that it is within the rights of NDC to have peaceful protests. It is also important to acknowledge that when they feel that they are hurt, they need to be allowed to express themselves in the most peaceful manner that they can. However, it is also important that NDC also begin to appreciate what is at stake at the moment. Those protests within the context of a global pandemic, within the context of already charged environment, how do they resolve the issues at hand? Or will they need to sit down and reflect whether the protests at the end of the day will yield the results that they seek for and also enthrone peace in the country they love so much and actually wanted to govern. So that's a way to balance it, but to obviously acknowledge that it is within their rights to express themselves in a manner that they feel they will be heard. If they feel that they have not been fairly treated in an election, it is within their rights.
What's been the experience on the continent? Can we still follow through with peaceful marches and protests in resolving this matter?
Well, again, at the end of the day, because I'm a professional mediator, at the end of the day, I'll go for sitting around the table. And also to acknowledge that people should also appreciate that within the continuum of dispute resolution mechanisms, that the court system is part of it. Also, other alternative mechanisms are also part of it. And I'm sure that we have very credible, very independent minds that can engage all parties, all sides, and find lasting solution to this. I think the most important thing is that the NDC want to be heard. But I also think that the other thing to acknowledge is that it looks to me like the MPP or the government in power is also ready to listen. And once this is established, then it makes even the mediation much, much easier. The other thing is to also establish the parameters under which such dialogue will take place. And more importantly, to assure all parties of the credibility of the process, whether it is the court system they are using, what are the fears that they expressed about not using the courts? If it is the good offices of some of these independent minds that I've talked about, are they assured, all parties assured of the credibility of the process and also the ability to implement the outcome? I think if you look at some of these fears that have been expressed, they have to do with distrust.
Now, while the December 7 general elections was largely peaceful, it also represents the darkest moment for some families this year. In all, 5 persons lost their lives in the course of the polls. This afternoon, we take you to the Odododiodio constituency here in Accra, one of the traditional electoral hotspots. JoyNews' Ernest Menu, who covered that constituency, went back there and brings us the story of a family of 7 that lost its breadwinner.
The Odododiodo constituency is one of the major flashpoints in the capital, with over 58 hotspots and violent clashes ahead of the 2020 polls. It was the expectation of security analysts that security will be beefed up to avert or control violence. Unfortunately, 2 people died before the final declaration of results. So we're here at Abola, a community in the Odododiodo constituency. As you can see behind me there, that is a banner of one of them, a young man, 36 years old, Emmanuel Dompre, who lost his life. From what we understand, he was an agent for the opposition NDC and lost his life in the process. We'll speak to people who were with him in his last moment. They will tell us exactly what happened.
I'm George Sampa.
Okay, and you were with him when the incident happened?
Right there, I'm with him right there.
Okay, tell us, so what exactly happened?
But we were there as soon as the polls ended. So the MPP were jubilating. They said they have won the parliamentary seat over Odododiodo. Okay. So we were all there at the hotel on the scene. So they started jubilating and started doing their jama.
And this is the hotel where the shooting happened?
Model Hotel. Okay. At Koloko. Okay. Okay. So we were there and on the MPP jama. They come along with bottles, plastic, stones, and crates, mineral crates. So we were there with the Emmanuel Dompre, our brother, who was just demise. So we run away, but we don't know where our brother passed before he met his untimely death.
What kind of person was he?
Oh, he was a cool guy. Was a cool, soft boy.
And what was he doing for a living?
Oh, he worked at post office.
I meet 2 of his brothers. Atakwa tells me how he received the news.
National go dabi, but any Maya Kolibue, Bunuea, Lele, actually to Ido.
So he is a brother, and he's telling me that he's the eldest of them. There are 7 brothers, and he heard the news when he went to Choco. He received a phone call and was told that the brother had been shot. When he came home, he didn't find anybody home, so he followed to the hospital, which is the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and that was where the death of his brother was confirmed.
The brothers tell me,
whatever you think of violence, think of the faces you just saw. Let's take you back to the Ashanti region, where Nana Aljima is standing by with more details of that demonstration that went on today, occasioned by the NDC's Women's Wing. Now, Nana, I understand this demonstration was led by Hannah Bisu.
Exactly, and Hannah Bisu, before the commencement of the march through the principal streets of Kumasi, she spoke to the members of the NDC who had gathered at the office, and according to her, the results of the election is flawed, and therefore there's no reason why the NDC should accept that result. And after that, they went through the principal streets of Kumasi, headed towards the EC's regional office in the Ashanti region. And the information I have from the EC's office is that it has been closed down. The staff of the office have been made to leave the premises immediately, and police and military men are on guard. They are on the ground to ensure that calm is maintained at the premises of the Electoral Commission.
Now, is there a specific demands these women have today beyond the protests of last week's election results?
So what they are saying is that until the former president, John Dramani Mahama, is declared the winner of the election, they will continue to protest. So what the song that they continue to sing as they march on is that no Mahama, no peace. And that is what they are drumming home here in the Ashanti region.
Nana Aljima, thank you very much for joining us with those details. Now, it's common to hear people being admonished to respect authority, but for a member of the New Patriotic Party's communications team in the Jamai South constituency of the Bunu region, his lesson was learned the hard way. Israel Bafor Asare has been lashed 40 times for describing the Queen Mother of the Drobo traditional area in that constituency with some unpleasant words. Nanaya Answa took offense after Bafor addressed a news conference detailing what led to his party's defeat in the constituency's parliamentary election during last week's poll. Let's hear from Israel Asare, who denies any wrongdoing.
I had a call from the house that some guys were looking for me. So because I was not ready to go to the house at that particular time, I gave them the direction to where I was at that time. So the guys came, they were 3. And upon arrival, one of them asked that am I the one who do some things on Facebook some time ago, and about 3 or 4 days ago, I'm the one who went to write some stupid things on Facebook. So they are looking for me at the palace. So as a matter of fact, I wanted to ask the person a question. Then the second person also came in and said that as for the Queen Mother, if you don't know and you say anything against her, you kill me in this town. So I was like, what is happening? So the guy who said needed that the palace repeated the same statement. So as to whether I will go or I will not go, whether I was going to talk or not, I just saw the 2 of them started beating me. And as a matter of fact, they beat me from that place up to where the palace is, through town. I was working with them in town, and they were beating me just like that from where I was up to where the palace was. So when we got to the palace, there were 4 people at the palace. 3 of them were young guys, and then 1 was an elderly man. So the 3 who were young guys joined the 2 who were beating me already by bringing some sticks. There were some trees at the palace, so they plucked some of the sticks, so the branches of the tree, and then they started beating me up with the sticks. In fact, it was a very horrible scene because it was 5 people on 1 person. beating me left, right, center. So all I could do was to protect my eyes from getting hit. So I covered my eyes with my hands and then I let the whole body to them, and then they were beating me left, right, center. So when the action continued for about 4 or 5 minutes, then the elderly person who was the fourth person in the palace when we arrived told them that okay, it's okay now, allow him to go. Then they all stopped and they asked me to leave the palace. So I left the palace, and then from there my very first point of call was the police station. And then I was given a medical form. I went to the hospital and they treated me and they discharged me. Then I went to the house with the medicine that was given to me. So it is not true that it was in a form of settling disputes or probably like in the court of law or whatever, for them to say that I was guilty of any sin or I was guilty of any offense. And for that matter, the punishment for that is 40 lashes. Nothing of that sort happened. Nobody asked me about anything as to what I've done. Nobody asked anything. Apart from they saying that I'm the one who went and wrote something on Facebook, and for that matter, I've insulted the Queen Mother, so they leave me at the palace. That is the only thing they said. Apart from that, nobody asked me whether it was true, whether it was not true, nothing. So they took me to the palace, they beat me and they asked me to come back. So it wasn't like they gathered and then they adjudicated the case and asked me to receive the punishment. No, it is not like that. Nothing of that nature happened. They just took me to the place, beat me up and then asked me to come back, that's all. The Queen Mother is on board, on YEA board, and then Lands Commission board. And upon our investigations, we saw that many factors led to the reason why we lost, the MPP lost the parliamentary seat in German South here. And one of them was the board members who were on board appointed by Nanado and campaigned against the preferred candidate of Nana Danko Kufuor. So in the press conference, we said that all those who are on board and campaigned against Nana Danko Kufuor's preferred candidate should not be allowed to continue to be on board, because if they like Nanado, they wouldn't campaign against his candidate. So if they were able to do that campaign for him, for his candidate to lose, then those people should be taken off board. I don't know if somebody want to tell me that this is an insult. If you say
You're live on JoyNews today. Now, there's rapid motorization in Ghana leading to increase in dangerous driving and road crashes. Human factors seem to be compounding the road crash problem currently in Ghana. Indiscipline among road users, especially drivers, has been identified as the main contributory factor to the increasing incidence of road traffic crashes. Now, the Yuletide season is approaching. What can be done to reduce the incidence of drivers indulging in dangerous driving? Director of Planning and Programs at the National Road Safety Authority, Daniel Adonting, spoke to JoyNews earlier today.
But getting into Christmas, I think we had limited number of them on the streets because of the elections. I don't know for what reason, but getting into Christmas is a different ball game altogether. Everybody must be involved. So we are asking the police also to move out there, spread themselves across the strategic areas on the highways, especially, and then they also enforce the laws and the regulations. But I can
You're live on JoyNews today. Remember, whatever you do, make sure you arrive alive. Please drive carefully and obey all traffic laws to make this a Merry Christmas indeed. Now, the government's Year of Roads agenda has benefited a number of communities in Kumasi. Several road networks in areas like Abuabo, Krofrom, Asokwa and Oforikrom have received a facelift. Motorists are, however, not enthused with the contrasting state of the Tek Edum Highway. Emmanuel Osei reports.
One section of the Tek and Loga Junction Highway has received attention for rehabilitation. The other half has been left unattended. Portions of the road keep deteriorating, posing a threat to road users. Motorists are compelled to swerve a deep pothole at Anloga Junction to have a smooth ride. Drivers and pedestrians are unhappy with the state of the road.
Whenever the traffic light turns green and drivers move, they all try to avoid the pothole, and that is likely to cause a crash. We expect that it will be fixed as soon as possible because it does not help. There were a lot of car crashes on this road. The other lane on the Alonga junction to Tech is very bad. The contractors fixed only one lane of the road while the other lies unattended. Now that the government has won 4 more years, we ask that they continue with the road construction.
Sister B, baby,
Motorists are hoping the road will be fixed to save lives and give meaning to the government's Year of Rose mantra. Emmanuel Osei reporting.
Live on JoyNews today with me, Daniel Daze. Coming up in business, private sector contributions to SNIT yet to pick up from pre-COVID-19 levels as more job losses affect pension deductions. That's coming up in a few minutes. Stay with us.
Hello, good afternoon. Time for business. My name is Darryl Kwao. COVID-19 related job losses are hitting SNIT pension contributions from the private sector perspective. That's according to the latest real sector performance report from the Bank of Ghana. George Afe has details.
The report showed that ending September this year, the monetary SNIT pension contributions from the private sector dropped from a little over 250 million Ghana cedis around February this year to hit 180 million Ghana cedis ending September this year. In terms of the number of SNIT contributions by workers in the private sector, it also dropped from over 800,000 pre-COVID-19 levels to 650,000 ending September this year. This can largely be attributed to the job losses that has been recorded during the period, a move that has also affected the number of persons that are contributing to the scheme. This is because the necessary deductions are often made from the salaries of these workers. The development is coming at a time that the SNIT contributions are said to be facing some challenges. This has led to the National Pensions Regulatory Authority considering proposals to increase the percentage deductions from the salaries of workers. Others also argue that the retirement age should be actually reviewed to deal with this challenge. The Bank of Ghana in its recent report showed that the economy is picking up since the easing of COVID-19 restrictions. However, this is yet to be felt in terms of workers that have been laid off called back to work. Joy Business is even learning that some firms are still laying off workers. One can talk about the oil and gas industry, especially for the private sector related jobs. Another data from the Bank of Ghana revealed that advertised jobs on the dailies and online are still below what the country recorded in March this year. While the numbers was around 3,500 a month earlier this year, it has dropped to below 2,500. The development may show that a lot of businesses are yet to fully recover from the shocks of the pandemic, despite the Bank of Ghana's suggestions that the economy has fully picked up since the easing of restrictions.
Meantime, pension assets under management of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority have hit 23 billion cedis despite this significant growth. Chief Executive of the authority, Hayford Atakofi, says there are few avenues of investing pension funds, a situation that cannot yield adequate returns to support the various sectors of the economy. He has been speaking to Joy Business.
The oversubscription we have, in the sense that we expected some investment returns to actually not meet the expected target. But of course, that fear was from the very early onset of COVID-19. But by the end of the second quarter, we had been able to bounce back, and I would say investments have not been affected as it was initially feared. So far, we have met a good number of our targets. But of course, it would have been better without COVID-19. Beginning of the COVID restrictions and onset, the government introduced an income tax amendment act, which allowed people who had made investments in Provident Fund to be able to redeem their pensions. Even though they were supposed to have paid tax of 15% if they had not invested for 10 years or more, government was able to allow them to redeem their pensions without paying the 15% tax. So I think this is something that has been very good for the contributor. There has also been people who are in the informal sector who have been affected one way or the other by the COVID-19 to be able to redeem their group and personal pension contributions without paying any taxes. So I think in the sense of what government has been able to do, it has really alleviated the most feared, I would say, expectations that we all had. So I don't think pension has been affected as much as we all feared because of the interventions of government.
Now, the final one for this segment, sale of Treasury bills post the December 7 elections was oversubscribed by 21.6%. This is according to auction results from the Bank of Ghana. Charles Nixon Yeboah takes a look in this report.
The oversubscription signifies investor interest in the domestic economy. Total bids submitted for both the 91-day and 182-day Treasury bills was estimated at 1.17 billion cedis. This is against a target of 925 million cedis. The government, however, accepted all the bids of 1.17 billion cedis from the investors, but the yield on the financial instrument is still hovering around 14.07%. though analysts had anticipated a fall in interest rates in the coming weeks because of a decline in inflation. Any fall in inflation will ease cost of credit, albeit marginally. Importantly, activities in the economy are growing as aggregate demand picks up. This could reflect in the third and fourth quarter gross domestic product figures to be released by the Ghana Statistical Service later on. Some analysts have attributed improved economic activities to payment of locked-up funds of customers of defunct management firms and further easing in COVID-19 restrictions.
And that's it for business. Up next, sports. Stay tuned.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the sports segment with me, Ore Kuwampofo. The Black Satellites would be taking on the Menace of Niger in the semi-final of the WAFU U-20 Cup of Nations tournament. Now, the Satellites started the competition on a good note, beating Nigeria by 1-0 to qualify for the semi-finals, only to lose by the same goal margin to Ivory Coast in their second game. Now, ahead of the clash today, assistant coach Augustine Adote has been speaking on the approach likely to be deployed, the defeat to Ivory Coast, and then the return of Precious Bois. Muftar Nabila has more in the following report.
Atlas had a performance against Cote d'Ivoire, many described as uninspiring. Despite opening their competition with a 1-0 victory over Nigeria, many Ghanaians believed the performance of the team against Cote d'Ivoire does not present any hope as the country seeks to qualify for the U-20 World Cup. Assistant coach of the team, Augustine Adote, previewing the semi-final fixture against Niger on Tuesday, called on Ghanaians to be patient with the team.
Messages came to us, the coaching staff, that we didn't play well against Nigeria, that we won 1-0. And coming to the Cote d'Ivoire game, now some of the spectators, even including management here with us, are applauding us. We played so well, but unfortunately, we lost. And you know, sometimes we need to psych ourselves. Nigeria want to qualify. Cote d'Ivoire wanted to qualify as well. We had qualified already after beating Nigeria. We booked our ticket already. So it was left to us to decide the fate of Cote d'Ivoire and Nigeria. And unfortunately, Cote d'Ivoire made a great mark. By then, we have also rested 4 or 5 players in readiness for the upcoming semi-final. So Ghanaians sometimes will have to understand Not that we went in as a weaker side. We did our best, but unfortunately, we lost at the end.
The last time Abdul Karim Zito headed a youth national team to a tournament was in Niger in 2018. The then U17 head coach failed to qualify the team to the Under-17 African Youth Championship. Tomorrow's game presents an opportunity for Zito and his team to right the wrongs of 2018. Adote says the players must die for the country to prove the critics of the national team wrong.
Proving our critics wrong and making us, the coaches, proud will mean the players will have to die on the field of play for nation Ghana. The other time when we played against Nigeria, recess, the president entered. He came and shook the dress room. He came and shook the dress room and warned the coaches and the players that whoever is not ready to die for Ghana shouldn't go back or step on the field of play and come and see what happened. Though we took it as president was tough on us, but it was a motivation factor. We went and we saw a total change. That is why I'm saying Boa, as one of the captains and the players, will have to prove all our critics wrong by dying for the nation.
A win for Ghana will be presenting them a ticket to participate in the WAFU U-20 African Cup of Nations to be staged in Mauritania.
Now, have you ever wondered what the best starting 11 would be like from the evolution of football up until now? Well, French football have done something of a sort after taking the opinion of 145 journalists across the globe as they voted for the best 11 of all time. And we'll be showing you a picture of the lineup, but I'm sure you guessed it right. A couple of players that you might have thought of are in there. And Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi headline the starting 11 as they would be partner Ronaldo de Nazario, that's the Brazilian Ronaldo, up front. In midfield, we have Maradona, Xavi, Lothar Matthäus, and then Pele. And in defense, we do see Frank Beckenbauer, Paulo Maldini, and Brazil's all-time highest appearance player, the player with the most appearances, Cafu. And then we have Yashin, the only goalkeeper to win a Ballon d'Or. Well, it wasn't just the first team. Of course, there's so much talent across. And for the Team B, we do see the likes of Ronaldinho, Johan Cruyff, Garrincha, Alfredo Di Stefano, Rijkaard, Andrea Pirlo, Zinedine Zidane. In defense, we have Roberto Carlos, Franco Baresi, Carlos Alberto, and then Juventus goalkeeper Gianluigi Buffon. And then there was a third team, so much talent since football did come, across. And it's been such an amazing sport with so much talent. And in the third team, we see Thierry Henry, Marco van Basten, George Best, Andres Iniesta, Didi, Neskins, Platini, Philipp Lahm, Sergio Ramos, and then Paul Breitner, and then Bayern Munich goalkeeper Manuel Neuer. Well, no African did make any of those three team sheets. Certainly a cause for worry, but there are some honorable mentions across. The likes of Samuel Eto'o and Didier Drogba and George Weah did also pay their dues as fantastic strikers. But that's how we'll be wrapping up the sport here. Remember, Sports Today is back at 2 p.m. live on the JoyNews channel. So do keep an eye out on that for more sports stories. My name is Ore Kuwampofo, and we do have world news for you up next.
Good afternoon, welcome to Showbiz here on JoyNews today. Now, actor and filmmaker Prince David Osei has debunked rumors he endorsed the NPP because he was hungry and paid. According to the actor, he endorsed the ruling party together with some industry players because they believe in their policies.
I won't be driving the car I drive. If I'm hungry, I won't be staying where I stay. If I'm hungry, I can't take care of my family in the U.S. I've got 3 kids and a wife. They all stay in the U.S. I pay mortgage from Ghana to the U.S. If I was hungry, I couldn't do that. If I was hungry, I couldn't produce my own movie. If I was hungry, I can't be traveling all over the world. Thanks to COVID, now I'm home. You see, it's funny how people talk. I'm one person that people don't really know me. A lot of people think they know me when they get close, but they don't really know me. I don't show too much. I'm unassuming, I'm unpredictable. I just make things happen. So a lot of people can have notions about me. I don't really care. And for the fact I never took money from nobody. I've not taken money from no MPV, I've not taken money from no government. I was doing it for the passion, and I believed in the policies of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. That's why I supported. I did this thing in 2016. I didn't take money from nobody. I didn't speak to nobody. It's just that this time it became more engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, people are entitled to.
And this time you became more public with it, and you're more.
No, I was public with it.
Yeah, but this time it's like you're on the front line.
Yes, because it had to be done. You know, we had to make sure His Excellency retained power, whichever way. I mean, it wasn't just me. My friends, Calibos, Bismarck, General Ntetia, BB Bright, Too Sweet, Peter Ritchie. You saw Samin. You see, sometimes when you sit back, you won't understand what's going on. All these names I mentioned, they are not stupid people. They have their followership. They know what was at stake, but they believed in the good policies of this great man. This is a leader who is a visionary. We're not talking about today. A leader who has the balls to say, okay, I want to do free SHS. People criticize it, he made this possible. There's a leader who said, let me integrate our railway system. Let me start constructing railways so that it will ease traffic. When you have a leader who can think on the spot, look at COVID. When COVID came, this man was always in our homes, encouraging us, talking to us. That's leadership. You see, so a leader that can take the bull by the horn. He came in, he said he wanted to sanitize the banks. He knew it would cost him. He knew there was an impending election. He knew he would go for re-election, but he did it. Yeah. He didn't look at the vote and say, okay, maybe they won't vote for me. He said he was going to streamline Galamsey. He did it. This is a leader who cares about the future of Ghana, not what he will eat today or whatever. So these are some of the reasons why I support him wholeheartedly. It's not like I'm in for something. Fine, I've done what I have to do. If they say, okay, Prince, we want to say thank you for what you've done, whatever, I won't say no, but I didn't do it because I wanted money or I wanted.
Away from Prince, rapper JoyNews says most Ghanaian musicians are patronizing the drill genre because of its unique style. The genre, which originally started in Chicago, is now gaining grounds in Ghana.
Drill is from Chicago. I don't know. I'm not too sure about like the whole history, right? But all I know is that drill originated from South parts, and they're called UK. But Pop Smoke made it more worldwide, you know what I mean? So I feel like he's left a legacy.
So can you say that, you know, the recent drill vibe going on in Ghana was...
Yeah, Pop Smoke.
What inspired this trend?
I don't think it's like a trend. It's just basically me. Like, I feel like they say that the hardest thing in life is to make something look easy. To you, it's really easy, but like when I'm doing this, like it's hard. Like I said, it needs to feel natural. It needs to sound fresh. Drill is almost like the biggest thing in Ghana at the moment. You know, Afrobeats know how, but people enjoy the drill. So, I like hip hop, like I said. So anything that has to do with hip hop, I'm in there. Yeah.